Thanks very much for joining us on the webinar tonight. This is our last in a series of webinars for March, and it's related to the under 16 and 17 youth hurling. Again, look, we are dealing with technology, so some things may crash or there may be some issues. So if you are experiencing any issues, it might get sketchy to log out and log back in. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to just drop them into the chat box. I know Conor Daly and Paul Gargan on the call there in the background, so they'll be able to relay them across to me. Again, look, we're dealing with the TURAS initiative, which is developed by Leicester GEA, and again, this is all about supporting you, the coach, on your journey. So again, look, we're going to look at a couple of things throughout the presentation, which will be kind of helping you to understand how to deliver and to coach age-appropriate activities for the 16 and 17-year-old. Throughout the night, we're going to look at the TURAS principles. So that's all about how to coach. Then we're going to look at the total play and performance model, and that's all about what to coach. And then we're going to look at some of the coaching resources that are available through Leicester GA and through the through various different resources throughout the internet. Again, look, TURAS principles is made up of 5 different aspects. Each letter in TURAS stands for a different principle. And again, it's all about helping you to become or to be able to review and plan your sessions also. Total play and performance model, again, look, that's all about what to coach, and we have a couple of activities for you along the way there too. So look, maybe if you have a pen or a piece of paper or anything there beside you, you don't have to throw it into the group chat just yet. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you about 15 seconds and think of the opportunities and challenges that you face when working with a youth player. Okay, so the various different things that you as a coach are going to face. So I'll give you maybe just 30 seconds. So again, just the last 10 seconds. And also, you may have seen like the likes of these TURAS webinars before, and unfortunately, they don't really deviate from the core principles that they are. But some of the opportunities that you might see as a coach is the desire to learn within your players or your squad. So your squad, when they come down to the pitch, not just coming down because their friends are coming down. Maybe they're coming down to learn something new each day, develop their skills, improve on a certain aspect of their play. And some may be involved with county teams, so they're looking to maybe continuously improve and get the extra practice in throughout the year. So they're coming down to you to get that extra bit done. Majority of your players are going to be more skillful because they are after coming up through the system. They're after doing various different techniques. They're after trying various different styles in other age groups. And when they get to this age group, they're going to be getting to their peak ability. Physically developing, so a lot of them are going to be using a lot of the S&C, maybe injury prevention programs, so that if some of your clubs are doing them, all good and well, it should be in a staged manner. So again, they should be continuously developing and working on that side of things. So again, you're also going to have the height and size comparisons along the way. Competitions again, so look, they're mainly going out to play the likes of their leagues, they're playing their championships, they might be playing various different challenge matches, which is looking at different teams across the year, across the counties, across the borders, getting various different aspects. Or they might be even playing the likes of condition tournaments, 7-a-side, stuff like that, memorial tournaments. Then they're really getting a game sense. So they're getting a sense of when the keeper has the ball in their hand, they know when to move or they know where to run, how to transition from attack to defence, creating overlaps. They're all getting this game sense, and you're helping them work on that throughout the session. Then we're going to have a few challenges, you're going to have a few challenges. So again, you're going to have participation versus competition. So who is there just to partake in it, and who's there to actually get there and win something. So getting that fine balance is going to be difficult. Physiological versus biological. So I mentioned earlier on, you're looking at the likes of the age is a big one, or sorry, not the age, but the physical appearance. So you're looking at the height, maybe weight, size, against where they should be at that age. Again, look, they're probably going to be involved in a number of teams. I know when I was back at that age, I was probably involved with a club team. I was lucky enough to be involved with development squads. You're looking at schools hurling as well. So again, like they could be going 3 nights a week on hurling alone, and then you add in your hurling or your football, you add in your rugby, you add in your soccer. Like there's only so many days in the week that they can do stuff, and then you have to factor in your rest days. Peer pressure. Some of their friends may not be playing the hurling, so again they're more inclined to be under more pressure to go hang around with them rather than going out to the pitch and train. And then you're going to get motivation. It's very hard to motivate players at that age group, and try to keep them interested in it. So again, it's all about you coming up with different ways to motivate your players. So they're kind of just different challenges and opportunities that you as a coach may face, and hopefully some of you had those wrote down. I suppose, look, the player pathway, I suppose, under 17 is probably the last stage before they head into kind of their adulthood. And the player pathway, again, is designed to be a staged approach that maps the player's journey. It's a guide for the coaches to deliver what is needed and when it's needed. So when you look at the diagram on the right, you know where they are and what they should be kind of achieving. A clear understanding of where the player currently is and where they're heading. So again, look, if you're looking at the player pathway, you're looking at kind of 18 there, in around the 18, just above the 15. You're looking back at the 3, 6, 9, 12, and looking at all the different aspects and skills that they should have covered throughout that year. So again, each stage of the player pathway is like a bus journey. They're getting off, they're kind of doing a mini tour and getting to learn various different pieces, getting back on, and then they're moving on to learn something else at the next stop. And again, look, you're probably the last stop before they get to adulthood. So again, you're looking at developing those extra bits that you're going to need to transition. So that's the player pathway, I suppose, in a nutshell. Next thing we move on to then is the how you coach. And again, this is where the TURAS really comes into its own. You're looking at TURAS principles. So an anagram for the TURAS is the following. You have testing and challenging. So T is for testing and challenging, and all players should be challenged. The U is for understanding the players at the centre of the game. R is for resemble the game. And A, all players involved all of the time. So basically everything all the time. And S should always be enjoyable, developmentally appropriate, and a holistic GA experience. So that's what TURAS is when you break it down into the 5 letters. But then again, the question is, how do we see this in practice, or how can I use this? When you're developing your session, you should be kind of thinking the TURAS in your own head and kind of look to see, is it going to be testing, is it going to be challenging? All players involved. Do you understand what you're supposed to be doing at that age group for that player? Is it appropriate for them? And then how are they going to use this in the game? So am I resembling the various different aspects in the game that they're going to be using? How many of my players are standing in lines? Especially at maybe 16 and 17, it's very hard to do a drill without having lines. But why not have more groups and work them more often than having small lines with big, or small numbers and big lines? And then I suppose it should always be enjoyable, regardless of what age they are. I know even myself, when I'm hurling, I want to go down to a pitch and I want to enjoy what I'm doing. Go down and have a bit of a laugh, but also work and also develop my own skills. So again, it's find that fine balance between that. So instead of me kind of just talking through it, there's a small video I'm going to play twice free. Some people may have seen it before, but again, I want to see are the TURAS principles in play. And if you have a pen and paper, you kind of note down if they are or not, and I've kind of left TURAS there on the side so you'll be able to kind of use it. So again, look, I'll play it twice and hopefully it should play without any issues. One second, I just share the sound. No.
Moving around the field, striking the ball to each other. Ideally, one player makes a breakaway, looks for the ball, and his colleague tries to strike the ball straight into his hand. Players initially start reasonably close, but as time moves on, they get further and further and further away, so that eventually they're possibly striking 50, 60 and 70 metres accurately. A variation on striking in threes can be, instead of striking to the hand, you strike low on the ground into a player's pat. Again, to replicate maybe a forward moving onto a ball and picking it up at pick.
Again, we'll play one more time.
Moving around the field, striking the ball to each other. Ideally, one player makes a breakaway, looks for the ball, and his colleague tries to strike the ball straight into his hand. Players initially start reasonably close, but as time moves on, moving around the field, striking the ball to each other. Ideally, one player makes a breakaway, looks for the ball, and his colleague tries to strike the ball straight into his hand. Players initially start reasonably close, but as time moves on, they get further and further and further away, so that eventually they're possibly striking 50, 60 and 70 metres accurately. A variation on striking in trees can be, instead of striking to the hand, you strike low on the ground into a player's pat. Again, to replicate maybe a forward moving onto a ball and picking it up at pick.
Again, look, that is probably a really, really good video, as it's about 20 minutes long, and it covers various different skills and abilities and how to coach them in hurling. And it's actually done by Martin Folger, who's National Development Officer. And what I'll do is I'll send the resources out and the link to that YouTube and that video for you to have a quick look at. But so back to TURAS then. Was TURAS in play? I suppose testing and challenging, yes, they all have to do various movements and skills are involved. So basically you're looking at a load of different aspects. You're looking at maybe controlling the ball, and then also looking at picking out the pass. So you have to move, striking on the move as well. Does understand the player? Yeah, emphasising the importance of being able to pick a pass and see the movement. So just because he has the ball, he still has to kind of find out where he is himself, look up and get that pass. Exactly what they're going to need to do in a game. So it is understanding the player at the centre of the game. Resemble the game? Yeah, you can see that all movements and skills are key elements that will be used in the game. So without that kind of gain in possession, head up and striking, you're not going to be able to transition from your defence to your attack or pick out your pass or get out of trouble, or if I'm on the end line to recycle the ball back out to someone in a better position. Are all the players involved? Yep, he has a big number of players in the actual section itself, but all of them are involved. They're all brought down into trees. They're using the whole length of the pitch, and they all have a ball. Especially the person that doesn't have the ball, he still has a job to get into space and call for that ball. Exactly what you want to see in your minor team. Yep, should be enjoyable and developmentally appropriate. Enjoyable, we can't really say because you kind of don't. You can't hear the players, you can't see them through the helmets, or you're not there on the ground to actually see it. But if it's appropriate, if it's developmentally appropriate, definitely we can say it is from what we could see, because they're trying to develop their skills at a higher level. So they're basic skills, but they're just being advanced to help them develop quicker. So that's kind of just to give you kind of a run through of TURAS itself in practice and in play. And then it's going to lead on to another task. So what I want you to do is I want you to think of what can you as a coach develop in your players. So all the different aspects. Don't just think skill wise now. I'm going to give you about 20 seconds and think of all the different things that you as a coach can coach in your players. So I'll give you about 15 more seconds, put you under a small bit of pressure. That's 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. So some of the things that, or some of the answers that you might have wrote down or thought of in your own head are, obviously we're able to develop the skills. We should be able to develop team play, how to defend and how to attack, decision making, so when to pass, when to shoot, when to recycle the ball, when to go to the player when they're attacking. We should be able to coach discipline, how to keep their heads cool, especially when things might be going against them, and not to give away stupid frees like the hand in the back or push, all the stuff that are kind of the silly frees, as we like to call them. Then you're looking at transitioning from your defending to your attacking, so coaching that, how you get from being on an attack to getting attacked. Looking at the movement, develop different various movements, so stepping off the left, being able just to stop from running position, reversing, jumping and landing. All this stuff comes into movement. Then you're looking to be able to develop their speed, so maybe bring in your speed, your speed ladders, bring in your hurdles to develop the speed. Overall fitness should be developed as well, so again look through your scientific approach, get your various different distances that each player should be running and get them running those distances. And also to develop good communication, so what's the best example for that? I suppose if you take a goalkeeper for instance, he has to be able to communicate to 6 backs in front of him, to have him in position, make sure every player is picking up someone. We should be able to coach that into our players as well. And that leads on to a total play and performance model, so the TPP model. And again, this is made up of the 3 T's and the 3 P's. The 3 T's are technical proficiency, tactical prowess, and team play. We then have our 3 P's, which are physical fitness, participant feedbacks, and psychological focus. Now again, we're going to look at these in a small bit more detail, but kind of relate back to how they're practical and how they're used within the minor setup. I suppose, look, the GA have issued kind of long definitions for each of these, but we're going to try and break them down so we understand them ourselves. They're probably more relatable to the minor than they would be to the nursery because they're the same definitions that we use for nursery as well. But I'd say our first one up is our technical proficiency. This is the ability to perform the underlying techniques accurately, consistently, and at match tempo. So what does that mean? That's looking at your striking, your handling, your tackling, and being able to do those that they're done properly, they're done the same nearly the whole way around, and they're done at match tempo. So again, if you look at your TURAS, you're looking at doing the basic skills, but you're being able to do them properly and at match tempo, so you're resembling the game. So a bit of TURAS is coming into this as well. So that's kind of your technical proficiency. As you can see there, look, there's various different handling. You have your hand pass, catching, solo, batting. Your tackle is your block, hook, flick, striking ground, hand, and on the run. Then you have your tactical prowess. This is the ability to weigh up match situations and decide on the best option to take and when to take it in order to optimize time, space, and scores, and to minimize these. Again, what does that kind of break down to? That breaks down to your decision making. So, do I shoot now, or do I hand pass it into the person in front of me to get the goal that might be on? Trial and error, I suppose. Look, let him shoot from the corner of the 21 and hit it wide, and then realise that, look, that was the wrong option. There was a lad in the middle of the pitch. Played it back out to him and worked the score from there. Their observation and feedback, so you're looking at them to observe different pieces of play and get their feedback on it and just get their thoughts around, was it a good decision, why wasn't it a good decision, if it was a good decision, why was it, what could you have done better, so getting to kind of see their different options on the pitch. So it's not just about when I shoot or when I should shoot. So it's all about kind of coming up with different aspects to get them to understand what they're seeing on the pitch. Then you have your team play. The ability to anticipate movement, see other players, and calling for the ball. So again, is this something that we as coaches actually coach? Probably not a minor. Probably people are probably just the first thing they say is you never call for the ball. But the problem might be that player was never coached to actually call for the ball. So working on simple stuff like that will help your team. Getting used to playing styles. So again, if you want to play diagonal balls, getting your team set up to play that ball. There's no point playing a match Saturday and telling them, oh, I want the wing backs to be delivering the ball across field into the corner. That's not going to work for them. They're not going to pick it up there and then. You're going to have to set your wing backs up, set your corner forwards, set your opposing half back line, and get them used to getting it over the half back line. Otherwise, they're not going to get used to getting it over anyone. They're going to be hitting a short into that team. Question on the players. Ask them maybe, why would you hit the ball there instead of hitting the ball here? What was your reasoning for that? Not exactly putting them out going, what the hell was that? Or calling them up on stuff, but getting them just to think, oh, why did I do that? Is there any reason as to why I done that? And getting them to reflect. Ask them to just look back at the session or game and just ask them what were the areas that went well for us. Okay, everything shouldn't be about negative or anything like that. You should be kind of having a fine balance of things that went well and things that went wrong, but all together how you're going to improve at the end of the day. So that's kind of your team play and developing a sense of team play. Physical fitness is the ability to perform the basic techniques, engage in physical contests, and respond to signs, sound, signals experienced during the game with the least possible expenditure of energy. So again, it's a long kind of, I don't know, definition if you want to say, but examples of this is mentioning that they have their flexibility. Well, their flexibility is not going to be able to strike the ball. They're not going to be, a lot of them could be in the gyms, but are they in the gym for the right reason? Are they being told to do the right things? Are they being told, oh, look, you need to gain a load of muscle up there? Then when they come back out to a pitch, they can't hit a ball. I've seen it happen here within my own club. Lads went off to the gym, bulked up, when they kind of got to the minor under 21, came back and they couldn't swing a hurl out of the way. So again, it's important that you, as a coach, keep those players flexible. Again, we talked about it earlier on, just the possible answers, developing your speed through your ladders, through your hurdles, through little games, activities. Again, maintain to have their strength. Again, you can do all this on the pitch through bodyweight exercises. Surely there's someone in each of the clubs that's able to do that for them. And then you look at maintain that agility, balance, and coordination. As funny as it may seem, this is probably one of the least things that has been worked at. And again, look, it's important that they get used to all these. All those come together, we're getting used to taking a tackle, giving a tackle, being able to perform at a peak level, basically. Participant feedback. Participant feedback is a two-way communication process which allows for ongoing adjustments to be made in order to capitalise on strengths, minimise limitations, and maintain continuous improvements. This is all about looking at examples of good play, both individual and from inter-county. So maybe if you know someone, maybe might have done something wrong or might have done something that didn't benefit the team, just get them to kind of think about that individual style of play or the example of what they done, but also link it back to when they maybe done the same thing but the outcome was better. So getting them just to recreate that and get a repetitive kind of feeling within them. You can also look at individual questions and decisions made. So again, why did you not go to that player when he was running through? So that could be a simple thing as, I didn't know, or you could just say he never got the call from the goalie, something like that. So you're getting to the bottom of, okay, that's why you done that, so now why do we need to do that? And then you're getting something to work on and train the next day. Psychological focus then is ability to maintain attention on the here and now by minimising disruptions from within and without. So again, this is going over self-analysis, goes over all details of their own performance. So getting them to think of how they actually played. Not even asking them to say it out in front of a group or anything like that, but just setting them maybe just to think for 30 seconds, their own performance. But the one thing to be aware of here is the first thing they'll do is they'll look for the negative. They'll look for the negative. And if you have a good team and they're open to share, and ask them to share, but just always make sure you have something that will back it up with a positive reinforcement. Because it's just the Irish thing to think of something bad straight away. So basically, what that is, that builds the player. And when we look at this is what it's going to look like on a card form, which is another tool and probably one of the first resources to help you as a coach. In that, you can see these are the Leinster TURAS player pathway cards that they designed. Within that is the 3 T's and the 3 P's. And again, they're broken down a little bit more to the type of skills that should be done at that age group. So the likes of striking, the various different strikes that they have to go through, the tackle, the handling, various different handlings. Then you look at tactical prowess, decision making, guiding discovery, trial and error, observation and feedback. All the ones that we touched on. Your physical fitness is there, team play. Again, I'm not going to run through these. You'll get a copy of these. You have your psychological focus in the centre of it. Players can fully recognise the improvements made through individual practice and participant feedback. Again, look, that's all the stuff that we kind of run through, but it's in more of a readable form. There's no long definitions, and it's straight to the point, and it's an owl guide for the likes of us coaches. Outside of that, though, we have 4 different aspects, and a lot of it is down to you, the coach. So if you look at the top left straight away, it's the coach itself, and this is all about having the coach well organised and having their sessions planned. Again, look, I can't reiterate it. Any of you that have been on other webinars have probably heard me say it before. There's no point going to a session, not having that organised, not planned, getting out of the car and then just rushing all over the place. It's not going to go well. You're starting off the session on a bad foot. So just be prepared and be ready. Allow players to make their own decisions on the pitch. So again, some players will have to learn from their mistakes, as they say. Let them make that decision. If it knows it wasn't the right one, then the first person that will know is them. They don't need the likes of a coach shouting it in at them straight away, asking them why they done this, why didn't they do that. If a player makes the wrong decision straight away, they'll be the first to know. Trust me, being there, I've done that. Another thing then is accept that it leads on from the last point, I should say. Accept that mistakes are a big part of the player learning and development. Like I said, they'll learn from their mistakes. Set example by showing respect to match officials and opponents at all the time. And again, this goes on more from that as well. This is you as a coach representing your club and making sure that you represent that team to the best ability possible. And also, look, Setting an example might be the same thing as just going down in a club gear. Okay, a little thing like that, ringing that little rule, make sure they all wear a club gear on their hand. And then use simple languages. Like I said before in previous different things that I've done, Twitter coaching was a big thing when I was in college. That's all about getting your point across in as few characters or words as possible. Again, look, the coach then, if you move across the right hand side, is the environment. The coach is probably responsible for this part as well. Coach-player ratio should be 1:10, at least one sliotar for every 2 players. Have awareness of game schedule for other teams your players may be representing. So that leads back to the number of players or number of teams that players involved in. Enjoyment and fun for all players still a key consideration when planning sessions. So, look, a good thing to do at some stage, whether it be the start, the middle, or the end of your session, incorporate something that's just a little bit of a laugh and get that team spirit going. Then the player themselves, look, strong with admired adults, so they look up to other people, to see the games on television, they want to do the things they've seen on television. They have ability to mix socially with all teammates and adults. Commitment to individual practice away from coaching sessions and matches. So again, this is probably something that we will have to harp on about, especially when they come to the pitch to you for 1 or 2 nights a week. Make sure they're picking up that hurling ball when they leave that pitch. Personally responsible for hydration and nutrition. So again, look, they should have a good awareness of what they should be eating, how much they should be drinking, stuff like that. And look, if your club's in a position to run a kind of a workshop on it, there would be no harm either. Manage rest and recovery. So they should all be aware of the likes of foam rolling, their stretching, active recoveries, all this should be coming into play. And manage the time effectively between school and sport. So ensuring that they are participating in sport, but also academically they're still fulfilling their potential at that as well. Especially if it was like me now, it's probably more so the sport side of things, and the kind of academy was kind of, or academic was kind of left on the long finger, so I can't really vouch too much for those ones. The game, players beginning to become accustomed to a specific position, but must still be challenged to play in a variation of different positions. So look, you might have a set of players that you know are playing in certain positions, but when it comes to a challenge game, why not give them a different role to play, just to be different and just getting to try out different things. Aim to provide at least 16 games in the season for your team. So again, look, you will have to incorporate in some of the kind of challenge matches throughout the year to get up to that 16 games. And then we also have size 5 sliotar should be used. So that's basically kind of the resources and how you, the coach, develop those environments to the player, and some of the aspects that the player themselves should be involved in. Moving on then to the back of those, we have a sample session on the back of those cards. Again, down the left hand side, you can see you have your TURAS principles and just a reminder what each of those principles stand for. Not going to go through the full session here. As I say, you will get a copy of this and you'll be able to look back on them, but it's kind of a session that you might be able to plan with your team and see how it goes, and see the kind of different aspects in play, and kind of you might be able to develop into a session. Whether you use 1, 2, 3 or 4 of the skills, it's up to yourself. So you'll get that resource across to you. GA 15 warm-up would be probably highly recommended to be used as a warm-up across the board, especially for players just to get used to. The aim of this is to replicate and copy the movements that happen in GA, and main aim is to activate all major routes, help reduce the limited likelihood of injury. So again, at that age, they're more prone to injuries, their body is developing, might be in gyms, like I said before, may not be doing the right thing, so it might be susceptible to injury. So again, this is all aimed at reducing all those and getting your players on the pitch as long as possible. This is the TURAS player pathway hurling resource. Again, look, it's for the age 14 to 17, but it has, I think, is 4 sessions for the minor, and there's also a goalkeeping workshop. So again, you can see there, that's session 1, I think it is on the top. They have striking and support play, so it's all aimed around striking and support play in this session, and that's a session ready to use, ready to go. So look, over the next few weeks or 2, we might get a bit more guidance and clearance in the GA as to when we will be hitting the pitches, but this could be a session for you to use straight away. And then you can see on the bottom there, if you have goalkeepers in your teams, why not specialise and try and do a session, get someone maybe in to do a session off the book for them. So again, you'll get the link for this resource as well. Leicester GA itself have a load of resources. that's the link you'll get, and you'll be able to choose between child resources. So if you're looking for that fun aspect, there might be a fun little routine in there that you might be able to get them to do at the start or the end of it. Adult resources, you might be able to take a few different drills and aspects that are in that and incorporate them into your session. And then again, youth resources has the likes of the GA 15 in it and a few other different aspects that you might be able to run through itself. But then this is probably a new initiative that we're after running. This is the Wicklow Coaching and Games Development YouTube page. Again, if you've missed out on any of the webinars throughout the month of March, they're all gone up on that page. You'll be able to look back at them as well, just to have a quick look at maybe the TURAS principles and stuff like that. This is going to be a constant update over the coming years, and hopefully by the end of it, or even by the end of the year, we'll have a nice bulk of resources there. So look, I would urge you to go subscribe and like it. And again, look, there's various different aspects on it there already, so you'll get a link to that as well. Again, look, this is the sample session with Martin Fogarty, which is the one that we've done the TURAS principles on. I think that was about a 27 or 25-minute video where he goes through a load of different skills and games and drills and stuff like that to use in sessions. So you'll get a link to that. Well worth its weight in gold. Then the other one then is a Derek McGrath Practical Coaching Conference System. That is basically one where Derek McGrath have looked at systems of play. So if you want to develop a certain system of play and you're looking for various different aspects to use to develop it, this video might be of benefit to you. Again, really useful resource. If you click on those, you'll get various different recommendations of videos. The likes of who else comes up on it. There's Dublin come up on it. Also GA are on it. You have Waterford are on it also, which is really beneficial. So that's kind of the various different resources that we have available. And look, with the likes of the club visit model is also incorporated into the TURAS initiative, where we hope to get out to see the clubs in action. So basically what we do is we go out and we assist the coach within the club and work on maybe a session with them on things that they want to work on themselves. Second time we're out, we go and the club coach takes the lead, and then we basically just give a few tips and pointers to the coach themselves as they're coaching, just to give them a bit of a helping hand along the way. I suppose that's kind of leading us up to the end of the session. So if there's any questions or anything like that, feel free just to drop them into the